What if I told you a reality star's biggest scandal didn't come from the show, but from the FBI? Latisha Scott's name is now tied to federal authorities, and the story behind it will leave you stunned. She built her image on family, faith, and business, but one headline nearly destroyed it all. Why is Latisha Scott suddenly linked to the FBI, and what role did Carlos King play in her desperate plea for help? Imagine your entire reputation crashing overnight, neighbors whispering, fans turning, and even your marriage on the line. That's exactly what Latisha Scott is facing after shocking FBI rumors, and this story is only getting darker. This isn't reality TV drama anymore. This is real life, FBI questions, a desperate call to Carlos King, and a scandal that could end Latisha Scott's entire career. Let's break it down. Latisha Scott never thought her name would ever be connected to the FBI. Yet one incident turned her world upside down and left fans completely stunned. After being briefly detained and questioned, Latisha made an emotional plea to Carlos King, a move that revealed just how shaken and vulnerable she really was. What unfolded behind the scenes was far more shocking than anything viewers have seen on camera. Welcome back to the channel where we break down the real stories behind reality TV's biggest scandals. Today's focus? A moment that has everyone talking: Latisha Scott from Love and Marriage. Huntsville caught in the middle of an FBI investigation. Even she admits the chaos threatens to derail everything she's built. When word of Latisha Scott's alleged FBI detention surfaced, fans were left reeling. Questions poured in almost immediately. Why was Latisha involved? What exactly happened? And how did things spiral so quickly that she reportedly turned to Carlos King, the show's executive producer, for help? This wasn't just another reality TV squabble. It was something deeper, about power, about pressure, and about the thin, fragile line reality stars walk when their personal struggles collide with the bright, unrelenting spotlight of fame. For years, Latisha has been one of the most prominent faces on Love and Marriage, Huntsville. To her fans, she was more than just another reality star. She represented strength, family values, and the image of a woman balancing motherhood, marriage, and entrepreneurship. That's why the FBI rumors hit so hard. It wasn't only about what might have happened behind closed doors, it was about how quickly an entire image could crumble when a single headline takes off. The internet did what it always does in moments like this: it exploded. Social media timelines filled with speculation, hashtags tied to Latisha's name trended, and within hours, everyone seemed to have a theory. Some insisted it had to be a misunderstanding. Others whispered about business dealings, federal investigations, or financial mismanagement. Whether these claims were rooted in fact or not didn't seem to matter. In the court of public opinion, perception often is reality. What made things worse was the silence. Latisha didn't immediately make a statement. Carlos King, known for guiding the narrative both on and off camera, stayed quiet. The network didn't say a word either. And in that vacuum, fans filled the blanks themselves, each rumor gaining more traction than the last. But behind the silence, insiders suggest Latisha was in panic mode. Reports claim she turned to Carlos King in desperation, hoping he could help manage the fallout before the story spun out of control. To Latisha, Carlos wasn't just a producer, he was the one man with the power to either protect her or expose her. After all, reality TV thrives on drama, and controversy is the lifeblood of ratings. The question then became, what would Carlos do? Would he shield Latisha, preserving her dignity and career? Or would he lean into the chaos, letting her breakdown become the defining storyline of the season? His decision wasn't just about one cast member. It could shape the entire future of Love and Marriage, Huntsville. Meanwhile, the scandal's ripple effect was spreading beyond the cameras. In her personal life, Latisha felt the walls closing in. Neighbors whispered. Parents at her children's school asked quiet questions. Even friends who once celebrated her success were suddenly hesitant, unsure whether to stand close or step back. The woman who built her identity on family unity and business integrity now found herself walking into rooms where people looked at her differently. Her marriage to Marsau Scott added another layer of tension. Fans already knew their relationship had long been under scrutiny, with rumors of infidelity and control struggles surfacing repeatedly on and off the show. Now, the FBI rumors poured gasoline on those fires. Insiders claimed Marsau was caught in a difficult position, wanting to defend his wife, but also needing to protect their shared businesses. His public silence only fueled more questions. Was he distancing himself? Was he quietly strategizing? Or was he simply overwhelmed? The stakes were even higher financially. The Scott family's businesses, ranging from real estate to construction, rely heavily on reputation. In industries built on trust, even the hint of wrongdoing can scare off potential clients and investors. And while Latisha hadn't been charged with anything, the mere association with federal authorities was enough to make partners nervous. Sometimes it isn't the facts that ruin opportunities, it's the perception. And perception was the one thing Latisha couldn't control. As bloggers, commentators, and fans painted their own versions of events, her accomplishments were pushed aside. She was no longer trending for her role as a mother, wife, and entrepreneur. She was trending as a scandal. Once a person is branded that way, it's painfully difficult to repaint the picture. Even inside the cast, the scandal caused ripples. Some members reportedly felt vindicated, pointing out that Latisha's carefully crafted image of stability and strength had finally cracked. Longtime rival Melody Sherry, known for her complicated history with Latisha, didn't need to say much. Her silence online was enough for fans to speculate she was quietly enjoying her opponent's misfortune. And Marsau's lack of a vocal defense only added to the storm. Behind closed doors, insiders said Latisha leaned heavily on Carlos King, pleading for him to guide her through the crisis. But here's where the twist comes in. The more she leaned on him, the more it fueled suspicion among fans. Instead of seeing a woman overwhelmed by fear, some saw someone trying to manipulate the narrative. And in today's social media world, once fans believe you're hiding something, it's almost impossible to convince them otherwise. Professionally, Latisha's standing on the show hung in the balance. Reality TV thrives on drama, but networks know there's a line between juicy controversy and destructive scandal. If Latisha's presence began to scare off sponsors or tarnish the network's image, the decision to remove her might not come from Carlos at all. It could come from executives higher up. And that's the most ironic part of all. The very plea Latisha made to Carlos King, an attempt to protect her image and her future, may have backfired. Instead of calming the storm, it spotlighted just how fragile her position really was. Now, fans are watching closely. Will Carlos use her scandal to anchor the season, squeezing every ounce of drama before quietly phasing her out? Or will Latisha find a way to reclaim her narrative and prove she's more than the rumors swirling around her? One thing is certain, this is no longer just reality TV. For Latisha Scott, the battle isn't only about ratings or storylines. It's about her reputation, her family, her livelihood, and whether she can withstand a storm that shows no signs of calming anytime soon. Here's what we know. Rumors began circulating that Latisha was briefly questioned by federal authorities as part of an ongoing investigation. Details remain unclear, but the fact that her name was linked at all was enough to send shockwaves through the fan base. For Latisha, this wasn't just a professional problem, it was a deeply personal one. Insiders say she looked more frightened than fans have ever seen, a stark contrast to the strong and confident image she usually portrays on screen. Naturally, fans started asking, why Latisha? Why now? Some pointed to her business ties, others to her connection with Marsau Scott, and a few even claimed her rising role on the show made her an easy target for gossip. Whatever the case, the FBI link gave the situation a seriousness that could not be ignored. Overwhelmed by stress, fear, and public humiliation, Latisha turned to the one person who could shape the narrative, Carlos King. But here's where things get complicated. While she begged for his help, fans wondered, was this an honest cry for support, or was she trying to control what the public would learn? Reports suggest her plea to Carlos wasn't calm, it was emotional, maybe even desperate. She wanted three things: to make sure her side of the story was shown fairly on screen, to use his media reach to tone down online speculation, and to keep her accomplishments from being overshadowed by this one scandal. But Carlos King isn't just a mentor, he's a producer. And producers know that controversy drives ratings. That left fans asking, would he protect Latisha or let the drama play out for the cameras? The uncertainty only fueled the frenzy online. Some viewers sympathized with Latisha, saying her reaction was natural given the fear she faced. Others believed the plea itself proved there was more to the story than what she was letting on. Either way, one thing is clear, this incident has put Latisha Scott in a spotlight brighter and far harsher than ever before. And depending on how the story unfolds, it could completely reshape not only her image, but the future of love and marriage, Huntsville itself. Not everyone saw Latisha Scott's plea as a moment of vulnerability. Some accused her of playing the victim, using Carlos King to silence the truth and avoiding accountability instead of facing the situation head-on. And as fans argued over her intentions, a bigger question began to loom. How would Carlos respond? Would he protect Latisha and shield her from the fallout, or would he lean into the drama and turn her breakdown into the centerpiece of the season? His choice wouldn't just shape Latisha's image, it could shift the entire dynamic of love and marriage. Huntsville. But here's the twist. Latisha's emotional plea was only the beginning. Once the news spread, fan reactions and whispers from the cast made the scandal spiral into something no one could have predicted. The moment rumors of her FBI detention and desperate call to Carlos hit the internet, social media exploded. The love and marriage Huntsville fanbase is one of the most intense in reality TV, and they immediately dissected every rumor and every possible angle. On Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, hashtags tied to Latisha's name started trending. Some fans expressed disbelief, saying they never imagined someone like her, who always appeared family-focused and grounded, could be caught up in something so serious. Others went wild with theories, ranging from financial missteps to being connected with other federal investigations. Whether those theories were true didn't matter. What mattered was that Latisha's name was now tied to scandal, and the court of public opinion was in full session. The cast wasn't silent either. Insiders suggested that some castmates were quietly relieved. For years, Latisha built her image on family values and stability, often clashing with others while standing firm in her role. But this incident cracked that image wide open. To some rivals, it was proof that Latisha wasn't untouchable after all. Fans immediately turned their attention to Melody Sherry, Latisha's longtime rival. They scrolled through her posts and stories, looking for clues. Melody didn't need to say much. Her silence alone fueled speculation that she was quietly enjoying Latisha's troubles. For many viewers, it felt like karma. Then came Marsau Scott, Latisha's husband. His response, or lack of one, sparked even more chatter. Instead of standing up with a strong public defense, Marsau stayed quiet. That silence spoke volumes to fans. Was he trying to protect her privately? Was he distancing himself? Or was he working behind the scenes to keep the family's reputation intact? No one knew for sure, but the speculation only made the situation worse. Meanwhile, fans themselves became part of the chaos. Facebook groups and forums dedicated to the show erupted in heated debates. Supporters argued that Latisha was unfairly dragged into a scandal without proof. Critics countered that where there's smoke, there's fire. Some even began tagging Carlos King directly, demanding answers from him or the network. The lack of an official statement only intensified the frenzy. Latisha stayed quiet. Carlos didn't speak. The network kept silent. And that silence gave fans room to create their own narratives. To make matters worse, rumors spread that some cast members were feeding gossip to bloggers to keep the story alive. If true, that meant Latisha wasn't just battling public opinion or federal attention, she was also fighting her own castmates. At that point, the scandal wasn't only about what happened during her detention. It was about perception. Was Latisha a victim of misunderstanding, or was she hiding secrets? Could her marriage withstand the pressure, or would cracks finally be exposed? And then came another shocking development. Reports suggested that Latisha's plea to Carlos King may have backfired. Instead of shielding her, it drew even more attention. Some fans accused her of trying to manipulate the storyline for sympathy. That accusation threatened her credibility and even raised doubts about her future on the show. The drama escalated when subtle jabs and cryptic posts from fellow cast members began circulating online, adding gasoline to the fire. Suddenly, this wasn't just TV drama anymore, it was real life spilling into the spotlight. For Latisha Scott, what began as whispers about an FBI detention spiraled into a storm that shook her family, her career, and her public image. Unlike the staged feuds of reality TV, this fallout was painfully real. As a wife and mother, Latisha has always leaned on family unity as the foundation of her storyline. But now, that very image, the one she worked so hard to protect, was being tested in ways she never imagined. When the news of Latisha Scott's alleged FBI detention broke, her carefully built foundation cracked under the pressure. Suddenly, it wasn't just a headline on blogs or a rumor online, it was personal. Neighbors whispered, friends exchanged knowing glances, and even parents at her children's school began asking quiet questions. Imagine being Latisha, walking through everyday spaces with eyes following you, whispers trailing behind you, and people silently wondering if the scandal was true. This was no longer a storyline for television. It was her name, her dignity, and her credibility at stake. And then came her marriage to Marsau Scott. Fans already knew their relationship had long been a lightning rod for gossip. Rumors of infidelity, mistrust, and power struggles had followed them for years. Now, with an FBI scandal layered on top, the pressure was suffocating. Insiders say Marsau was torn. Should he stand firmly beside his wife or protect the family businesses that rely so heavily on reputation? His silence became its own storyline. To some, it looked like strength. To others, it looked like distance. Was he quietly strategizing behind the scenes? Or was he overwhelmed by a crisis too big to manage? The financial stakes were just as high. The Scotts have invested in real estate, construction, and other ventures, industries where trust is everything. Even without a single charge filed, the simple association of Latisha's name with a federal investigation was enough to make clients and investors nervous. In business, perception can be as damaging as proof. And perception was where Latisha lost control. The moment the FBI rumors hit the internet, the narrative slipped from her hands. Bloggers spun wild theories. Commentators dissected every detail. Fans fueled hashtags across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Suddenly, she wasn't being talked about as a mother or entrepreneur. She was a trending scandal. And once that label sticks, it's nearly impossible to peel it off. Behind the cameras, insiders claim Latisha went into crisis mode. She leaned heavily on Carlos King, the show's executive producer, hoping his influence could soften the blow. But the more she sought his help, the more it fueled suspicion. Instead of sympathy, some fans saw desperation. They accused her of trying to manipulate the story, of covering up truths she didn't want revealed. The fallout spread further than her family and her businesses. Within the entertainment world, people began questioning whether she could continue as a credible presence on Love and Marriage, Huntsville. Would her scandal overshadow the show? Could it alienate viewers who tune in for drama, but not federal drama? There's a difference between entertaining controversy and brand-damaging scandal, and Latisha's situation sat dangerously close to the line. Emotionally, friends say the weight on her shoulders was crushing. She felt abandoned by some, judged by many, and left without the support she expected from her circle. In private, she reportedly admitted the stress was unbearable. Worst of all, she feared her children would one day see her remembered not for her achievements, but for the controversy that defined her. This was bigger than television ratings. Latisha wasn't just fighting to keep a storyline alive, she was fighting for her reputation, her family's stability, and her very future. And as reality TV has shown time and time again, the public doesn't always forgive quickly. The question now is simple. What does this mean for her place on Love and Marriage, Huntsville? For Latisha, the show isn't just entertainment. It's her platform, her brand, and a crucial source of income for her family. Losing it would mean losing her voice, which is why her plea to Carlos King carried such urgency. Carlos, however, is walking a tightrope. As the architect of the show, he knows how to turn controversy into compelling TV. Scandals bring ratings, and ratings keep the show alive. But he also knows when a storyline threatens the brand itself. His silence so far speaks volumes. He hasn't defended Latisha, but he hasn't condemned her either. That hesitation suggests he's weighing whether her chaos is an opportunity or a liability. For the network, the stakes are even higher. Executives are watching closely, mindful not just of ratings, but of sponsors and partnerships. If Latisha's scandal tarnishes the network's reputation, the decision to remove her might come from above Carlos's head. Reality TV history is full of stars who thought they were irreplaceable, only to be cut once their drama became too heavy for the brand to carry. And here's the irony. Latisha's desperate plea to Carlos, the very move meant to secure her place, may have made things worse. Instead of protecting her, it reminded everyone just how fragile her position really is. Now, fans are left speculating. Will Carlos use this scandal to fuel an entire season, wringing out every ounce of drama before quietly phasing her out? Or will Latisha somehow find a way to turn the tide and reclaim her narrative? What's clear is this. For Latisha Scott, the cameras aren't the biggest threat. The real danger lies in the court of public opinion, and right now, that court is far from forgiving.